Hello everybody, my name is Thomas Healy and we are at Drawn to Comics in Glendale, Arizona for a very special interview today. I'm with Brian Augustyn. Thank you very much for coming on down here today.
Thank you.
Now, some of you may go, I know that name. Now there's been a couple of fairly large and sizable projects that you've been a part of. Can you kind of give us a brief overview of who you are?
Sure. Almost 30 years ago I started working at DC, where I was an editor for about 10 years. While I was there, I started writing, and some of the projects I worked on were things like I created the Elseworlds. I'm semi-proud to announce.
Yes, that is a huge deal.
By doing the very first Elseworlds, which we didn't know was going to be called Elseworlds, but Gotham by Gaslight, Batman in the Victorian era versus Jack the Ripper.
Versus Jack the Ripper with Mike Mignola.
Mike Mignola, yes, a guy who went on to more fame than I, but that's cool.
Yeah, I think he created a character, Hellboy or something.
Hellboy.
You might have seen that.
He remains to this day my favorite artist and favorite human being.
He is a phenomenal gentleman. I had an opportunity to meet him once. But not only did you create the first Elseworlds, you've created what is arguably one of the most popular and well-read Elseworlds of all time. You know, there's been a ton in that series. Gotham by Gaslight is still kind of the marking post for a lot of those.
Well, thank you. I think that there's some testament to the popularity in that it's been in reprint throughout most of the time. We just had another reprint about 5 months ago. So it and its sequel are collected and reissued fairly regularly by DC, which is a great honor, and it's always fun because I usually give away all my copies, and then I have new ones to give away.
Yes.
In fact, Mike and I just had a reunion at the Phoenix Con this summer.
Oh, very cool.
Where we did a nice panel, very well received, and yes, I believe that it is popular probably because of Mignola's art.
Well, it's a great read as well.
Thank you.
Now, we are here for a very specific reason. You've got a very interesting project going on right now on Kickstarter. What is that?
Well, after years of working with the big publishers, I took a look around and I saw what the marketplace was like, and nowadays, so much of what the publisher could do, we can do ourselves. We have the internet, we have, podcasts and audio podcasts, and you can do your own promotion through Facebook and other social media. And I thought, well, this next thing that occurred to me was very personal in so many ways. Why don't I publish it myself? And nowadays, the way to do that is to go on Kickstarter or one of the other crowdfunders.
Oh yeah.
And that's what we're doing now.
Now, is it difficult to get that going? Was that a decision that was taken lightly, or, like you said, this is a very personal project? Is this something that you've wanted to have that control over?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much control was important, but more of a sense of a desire to accomplish, which is a fairly large feat, I guess. That I'm not just creating it, but also producing it and sending it to the printer and dealing with distribution and all that other stuff.
From start to finish, you're involved.
I'm involved.
So now let's get to the meat of it. The project is called Dead Ringer. What's this all about?
Well, in essence, it is what I'm calling a hard-boiled mystery ghost story.
That's quite a mouthful.
It is, yes. I was worried that I wouldn't get it all said. It is set in Chicago, my hometown. The main character is a young lady named Kate Bailey, who has just returned from a stint in Afghanistan with the JAG.
Okay.
That's the Judge Advocate Generals. She was basically, as are the JAGs in general, she's not an MP, not a military police person so much, as she was an investigator for the JAG. They're the ones who watch over what our troops do while overseas.
Okay.
They'll investigate accusations against American troops, things like that. So our character is a trained investigator and the daughter of a Chicago policeman. So that sort of thing runs in the blood.
Okay.
Fits her temperament. And as she's come home to find it very difficult to readjust.
Like you said, the setting of this is Chicago.
My hometown.
In the winter. A harsh winter storm.
In the dead, if you'll forgive me, of winter, yes.
Yes. So now we talked about this before. Is this like a love letter to Chicago, or is this I am so thankful to not be part of this letter to Chicago anymore?
I think it's probably somewhere in between. I will always love Chicago for all of its glories and all of its faults. That's just the way it is when you're born someplace, and I was. I doubt that anyone else in Chicago would see it as a love letter. After all, it's the worst winter in years. So snow, it's going to make the colorist's job a lot easier. And it's a heavy, heavy blizzard, and no one there loves winter.
Yeah.
In fact, it's been said for years that people in Chicago go through it every year, but somewhere about April they have amnesia, and they're surprised by the snow the following winter. So no one's going to love that part of it, but it's realistic to the setting. It also touches on things like the way the city is wired politically. That's an aspect of it all. And in the end, there's quite a number of murders taking place, and no city wants to brag about that.
Yeah.
But all in all, while I'm not going to say that the murders are as realistic as the winter, especially since ours is a supernatural story as well. So on the surface, it's a very hard-boiled, very realistic, very textured view of a real city, but into which we're imposing this supernatural background. And there's possibility of ghosts. There's some sort of supernatural menace going on.
Okay.
And the opening sequence features the top, the peak of the whole mystery, in that Kate wakes up from a nightmare in which she saw herself killed by a monstrous figure with a giant knife.
Okay.
She wakes up, oh, thank God that was a nightmare, and then the newspaper is shoved under her door, and the headline is "Area Woman Killed," and it's a photograph of her.
And that's where the mystery starts.
And that's her involvement.
Okay. We're not going to give any more away then.
I'm not going to give any more away. A lot of it I haven't figured out yet, but not exactly true. That sets her in motion.
Okay.
It's not her. It's a misidentification, but this person who was killed is identical to her.
So there is that mystery.
There is the mystery of her connection to all of this.
Okay.
And as she follows her instincts, her investigative instincts, she gets more and more drawn into the mystery, and therefore becomes more and more of a target herself.
Gotcha. That sounds very exciting. Now, before we wrap up, I do want to touch, because you've worked with, like you said, Mignola before, a great, amazing artist. Now, there's another amazing artist working on this, Derek West, who I've had the opportunity to meet. I've seen some of his stuff. What drew you two together on this? Because his style from the preview pages that you've shown on the Kickstarter page are beautiful. What made you guys decide this is what we need to work on together?
Well, I'll say that I've had the idea for Dead Ringers for a while. Dead Ringer for a while. It's okay if I get it wrong. For a while. Yeah, you're sort of bubbling in the back burner. First off, the reason he's doing it is because he's an amazing artist.
Oh, yes.
But he and I became friends because, as you know, our comics community here is very tightly knit.
Oh, yes.
And when I landed here in Phoenix 3 years ago, it's that community that sort of welcomed me in, embraced me. And so Derek and I just became great friends because his weird sense of humor is very similar to mine, and he's one of the nicer human beings you're going to meet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But he just happens to be he's the right artist.
Yeah.
The minute I saw that art, I sort of escalated the development, because the minute I saw it, I started seeing the book through his art.
I agree. So if you're on this and you're watching this video, you can probably scroll down, see some of those sample pages. You actually get that first scene that we just talked about.
Right, yes.
Is up there, and it's amazing art, some colored art, some penciled art. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm very excited for this book.
Thank you.
We
are too.
This is a story that I really want to be told, so definitely check it out. You've got to support it. So is there any final words you want to give to the viewing audience today?
We've already received a lot of donors, backers, whatever they're called, and I appreciate every last one of them. Obviously, I welcome, invite, plead for all support that anyone watching this may feel to share. We appreciate the fans, we appreciate the marketplace, and we want to do this book because we love it.
Absolutely. You heard it here. Brian Augustyn, you got to kickstart it. You got to see this book. You got to let it go to completion. Brian, thank you very much for coming down today.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks, Ron to Comics, for allowing us to shoot here, and I look forward to reading this next year.
I look forward to giving it and putting it right in your hands.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.